Whew. Earlier in this hike, I foolishly was maybe a little bit full of myself, thinking I was kind of killing it on this thing. Well, I felt a little bit embarrassed editing the Flatiron video because of how tired I was on that hike and how much I was talking about the Superstition Ridgeline being something for, later in the fall, that type of thing. And thankfully, we've got a break in the weather. We've got a unique weather pattern that gave me a beautiful day that's not even going to get up to 80 degrees when every other day is over 90. So I'm taking advantage of it. I've got a pack that is loaded up, ready to go. It should be a roughly 12-mile hike over 4,200 feet of elevation gain. I've never done this trail before, so obviously I've climbed part of the mountains and I've been around the area, but I've never done this actual hike. And if you Google the toughest day hike in Arizona, this hike comes up number one. Now, I think you could argue there's some Grand Canyon hikes that are day hikes, but maybe, I don't know why those would be excluded. Maybe you've got to be a real athlete to do like the rim to rim in a day, that type of stuff. But regardless, off topic for another day. So I'm a little, I'm a little excited, a little apprehensive. I haven't been able to get out hiking as much as I would like to, as much as I usually do. So my legs, my lungs, they're not as good as usual. And I do have a little bit of a tinge in my left knee. So we'll see how things all go. Once you get up to the top, you don't really have a choice. You've got to finish the hike. So it should be a good adventure. Let's go. Well, off to a auspicious start. Am I using that word right? So there was a detour I didn't know about on the way in. I've now left the trailhead 3 times. That means I've returned to it twice to grab crucial items that I had forgotten, such as a phone charger, which is highly important because I will be roughly a 30-minute drive away from my car when I get done with this hike. And my phone is most likely going to be dead from running all trails, as well as just being a garbage phone. So I need to be able to charge it, potentially charge the camera. Also, didn't have my sunglasses, and maybe that's not as critical, but I figured walking around all day in the sun, I probably do want some shades. So either way, we're looking at an extra 2.5 miles heading onto the hike. No big deal. Let's just keep going. But I thought it was worth noting before I get everything, super scenic in here. Anyway. All right, so we're getting closer to Flatiron, which will be the end of probably the most difficult aspect of the hike. But again, I haven't done this trail, so I'm not entirely sure. I just believe that
From what I've seen, the Flatiron part is maybe the toughest section. So that's why I figured I'd start with that instead of the Kearney Springs Trail. And so far, so good. The knee actually feels better than it did before I started the hike. Ankles feel good. I've been probably drinking a little more water than I anticipated, but I also over-prepared and brought 6 liters, so I should have plenty of water, no worries. I got a bunch of food. I'm just waiting to pick a good spot to eat that. Kind of want to keep my momentum and my rhythm going, which it's difficult to do when you try to film and everything. easy to rack up miles when you're just kind of jamming out to music and putting one foot after the other. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. See you in a minute. I don't know how well the camera's gonna pick that up, but we've got some rain, some drizzle, and unfortunately the forecast didn't call for any rain, but part of the reason today is much lower temperature than every other day coming up and every other day last week is because of a low pressure little bubble that's kind of hovering over Arizona right now. So that brought in some storm clouds. The weather on my phone says it's only going to be for maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, and not too much more than a drizzle. So I'm going to keep pushing forward. I do have an emergency shelter in my pack for just these types of situations. Look, the sun is peeking out. We got a little bit of actual sky, not just clouds. Still looks very rainy over there, but I don't know. I can no longer check weather. This is probably foolish to be doing, but I'm gonna push on. Because of the weather, I'm not going to make it a point to tag every peak on this mountain. I'm just gonna make it a point to finish the trail. So we'll say hello to Flatiron from here. Hello, Flatiron. And peak 5024, we can't see it, but it's up there past the Hoodoos. Anyway, let's keep pushing. This is some pretty sweet hoodoo rock formations, and you kind of got the backside of Flatiron over there. Can't quite I want to peek around this little corner here, but I don't really have too good of a place to go to get there. It was so slick, you know, millions of years ago. It was volcanic activity is what created these mountains and a lot of the surrounding ones. And man, I never get sick of looking at these formations. They're so cool looking. All right, so we can see nice little shot of the ridgeline and the hike to come as we keep on progressing. I'm not entirely sure how far we're in because, again, the couple of trips going back to the trailhead. So let's see, my watch says 4.7 miles, which is never really all that accurate, and my phone is about to die, so I'll check all trails at another point once I grab a spot to finally take a break and snack and charge things up a little bit. But for now, we'll just kind of keep on moving. Classic rookie desert hiking noob. Well, this seemed like the longest lunch break I've ever taken on a hike, and barely charged any juice to the phone. So, unfortunately, I don't know, the phone might die, might lose the All Trails map for a little bit. I don't think it'll be too big of a deal. The trail's been pretty obvious so far. Enough on just enough traffic, I think, to keep it kind of evident, and you have a little bit of route finding if you go hiking on a regular basis. That'll obviously help as well. But you know, looking at the sky, and it's hard to tell because I can't really see too far west, but when I look to the east, we've got darker clouds, and as I'm talking to you, it is raining right now, just a real light drizzle. But when I look over to kind of the southwest, we've got a little bit of blue sky, and I think the weather pattern is moving east. So I think that is coming this way, and we should be good. There shouldn't really be any kind of a rush to slip and fall, a rush to make it to the end of the trail, you know, to avoid bad weather. I think, you know, I'll just get a nice kind of misting with the showers here, help keep me cool, and it'll be pretty nice the rest of the way. So we'll see if I can tag any extra credit peaks like Superstition Peak, etc. Get this right when I try to do this, but got a nice view of Weaver's Needle. You can expect a video rock climbing of that at some point. I don't know if I'm ready to do a free solo of it, but definitely going to rock climb up there and maybe even camp on the top of it for a night. But I wanted to point out too, so the trail actually kind of goes spin around. The trail kind of goes down this way, it looked like, not even going up to this peak. And then of course we've got this little section over here, as we can look into the Superstition Wilderness, which is like 160,000 acres of desert awesomeness. But we kind of see four peaks over here. The rain and the clouds are blocking it, but I want to actually make my way over that way to get a better look kind of on that side of things. So let's go. Well, my legs might be a little bit scratched up, a little bit bushwhacky off the trail, but what do you think of this? Not too shabby. I think it's worth it. That wasn't such a massive detour, probably adding another mile at least to the trip. I'd continue on here and just kind of keep exploring a little bit, but I mean, I can more or less see what we can see from here. I mean, it is kind of a cool spot. I'd like to camp up there maybe sometime too, but just figured I'd point out Weaver's Needle once again. For those of you who know or don't know, we've also got the legend of Lost Dutchman's gold mine, and they say at 4 o'clock in the shadow of Weaver's Needle is where you will find it. Now, I have no idea what time of year at 4 o'clock the shadow casts, and obviously nobody has been recorded as ever finding it. There's all kinds of reason to believe that it's a myth, but it also is one of the biggest, you know, lost treasure stories in US history, and it's right in my backyard. So not only do I want to climb Weaver's Needle and camp up at the top, but I also want to look for some gold, because why not? So anyway, figured I'd show that a little bit, and yeah, let's go make our way back, all the way backtracking, so that we can make our way over to the ridgeline there and continue on our merry way. Hey, we're back on the trail, and boy, I'm really wishing I would have brought some gaiters. Yeah, with all the plants dying and everything because it's getting warmer. Of course, you got little rocks and everything, but I am just getting all these little things, little pricklies in my socks and in my hiking shoes, my trail runners. It is quite the unpleasant trek at the moment, but I am having a beautiful time. I love being on top of mountains, and I love this blue sky that we got coming out. The sun's gonna be peeking out at some point, and man, I am so glad I stuck through the various little setbacks that made me think about quitting. I knew this was going to be a mental game, this hike. Most hikes are mental games, you know, unless you're doing something really easy, which personally I like to do things that, you know, kind of push me. And, you know, it was last week, Monday, today's a Wednesday, that I did a hike. It was about like a 5-6 mile hike up and over Pass Mountain, which I've done a video on. And, you know, I've been like once a week, and I'm generally about a 3-day-a-week hiker. So I knew I was slacking at just various aspects of life responsibility that, you know, made it difficult to go spend several hours out hiking around. But man, I am glad that I fought through the unexpected construction and detour, having to find my way here. Starting the trail, going back to the trailhead to pick up sunglasses, and then doing that once again to pick up my phone charger, you know, tacking on an extra 2 or so miles, having all of the cloud cover come, getting so dark, it actually starting to rain, and still persisting and coming through, which that particular thing may not have been the most intelligent choice. The mountain is always going to be here. You know, I can take a different day to do this hike. Now, I don't think it's going to be this temperature for months until the fall. So it is kind of an opportunity on that front. And, you know, I also had, when I checked the weather, the last time I was able to pull it up, it just said a little drizzle and then clearing right up. So I trusted that. Thank goodness it was right. And here we are, rambling on a beautiful mountaintop. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Man, this mountain is trying to kill me. I hope the camera's picking this up, but we got a whole field of these gorgeous blue and slightly purple flowers, while all the other plant life in Arizona is starting to die as we get into the hot months. Right on this east kind of side of the mountain in this little crevice, we got some plants still thriving. So we'll see. I think my phone might be better for getting close-up shots, but just look at these flowers, man. Hopefully the wind's not too bad and the audio is still, I guess, understandable. But you can see Flatiron over there and Peak 5024, which of course I've made a video on hiking those two summits. And it's also, you know, where most people, they attempt to go to Flatiron. As I mentioned in the video for Flatiron, given that it's a very difficult day hike, it's a lot of elevation gain, and many people who aren't experienced hikers just don't know exactly how difficult something like that is. It's only 3 miles to the top, but it's almost 3,000 feet of elevation gain, and a lot of people end up turning around. So it feels kind of good to look at that, having accomplished, you know, that challenge and making our way all the way across the ridgeline to this point. But I gotta tell you, having never done this hike before, looking at this, as well as what I know is on the other side, and pulling up all trails to see how many more miles I've got left, whew, I am feeling it. So yeah, let's keep on. Oh, sweet! I get to lose more elevation before gaining it all back. That's awesome! Earlier in this hike, I foolishly was maybe a little bit full of myself, thinking I was kind of killing it on this thing. I wasn't sore, I was making good time, aside from my little snafus at the beginning. But man, my ankles, my knees, my shoulders, the whole body is killing me. I have slowed down to like a snail's pace. Few tricky sections when you get, I guess, a little bit closer to Superstition Peak. I've had to pull out the All Trails map, which is draining the battery, which I've got limited charge to keep myself going and navigating, and also getting that ride when I finish this hike. So, whew, I am so glad I came out today and I didn't come out on a day that it's going to be 90-some degrees, because I've gone through a lot of water. I've gone through a lot of snacks, and I still got a long ways to go. I was looking at All Trails, I was just like, holy shit, there's still a lot of miles left. I mean, a lot of miles is in, I don't know, 3 or 4 maybe. Either way, it's gonna be a tricky hike. I may have underestimated things or overestimated myself. We'll see if I can get done in time to pick my car up before it gets locked into Lost Dutchman State Park. Anyway, I gotta charge my phone battery, kind of SOL while I do that, and try to make some ground up. Anyway, keep it pushing. I've been walking around, looking at the All Trails map, And I think I just have to scramble up this, which is really a climb, not a scramble. I don't know how it looks on camera, but it's pretty damn intimidating without any gear. Wish me luck. I couldn't figure out how to get up the other one. I couldn't get to the first foothold. So I don't know if maybe I climb up this. I'm hoping I don't just cliff myself out if I climb up this, because it's going to be real tricky to try to climb down if I'm wrong. Oh, that cairn is beautiful. It means I did the right thing. We got Superstition Peak over here, and I'm not going to bother trying to climb up the hoodoos. I'm just trying to get done at this point. Okay, somewhere down this way we've got the trailhead that I'm going to be getting picked up from. So I think it is all downhill from here. Hopefully, any luck. Of course, my knees are not liking this downhill either. Uphill, downhill, it really doesn't matter. After you do this hike, your legs will be kicking your ass. They will not be thanking you for the hike, although what's the wonderful fun thing about hiking is my spirits are good. It's now I'm more confident I'm going to finish, which was somewhat worrisome, just thinking, oh man, am I going to get stuck camping on this mountain with an emergency shelter? Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but definitely not something I would have wanted to do. And thankfully, looks like I won't have to. But I got to pick up the pace a little bit, otherwise I might have to be hiking in the dark, which I'm also prepared for that. I do have a flashlight, but either way, I am so grateful to be on the descent, finally. Why did I take that detour earlier? Man, it is bushwhacky on the way down. Once again, gators would have been a great idea. More uphill. I thought we were done with this. When will I be over? We're done with the hike. I can't even speak anymore.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
This thing is no joke, man. I love hiking. I love scrambling. I love rock climbing. I just won't be done. I don't know if the camera shows it, but I can see, I think it's Peralta Road. It gets me out of this place. Once I finally get off this godforsaken mountain. Holy cow. It has taken so long to descend this thing. And I still got hundreds of feet to go, maybe even 1,000 feet. Ugh. So I'm running out of sunlight, and I do have a headlamp. I'll be able to make it the rest of the way, but I'm going to cut it off here for the footage. Pretty much got all the Superstition Ridgeline. I got a little bit left, but I just need to get done with the hike. I'll probably pop in and record something either when I get back to my car at the trailhead, which I may not get to, or when I get home. Either way, thanks for checking out this hike. I'll we'll fill you in on some stats and everything like that once we get done.
I made it, obviously edited the video, put it up. You've watched it up to this point. It's actually a couple days later from finishing the hike, so wanted to put a couple thoughts in, put a bow on this video, and wrap everything up. So first, a little background. If those of you who don't know, the Superstition Mountains are the most photographed and painted geographic landmark in Arizona, outside of the Grand Canyon, of course. And the wilderness itself is about 160,000 acres of really rugged desert, mountain, canyon landscape that is very, very inhospitable, especially when it starts getting warmer. About 4 to 5 people every year end up dying. And it's not just inexperienced hikers, it's experienced hikers that it's easy to get turned around when you get deep into canyons and various things like that. Of course, water is at a premium. You're not going to find any basically anywhere. There's a couple little spots where you can find water in the Superstitions. By and large, what you bring with you is what you got. And I bring all this up because while I did respect the wilderness and I respect the mountain and I prepared for the hike, in hindsight, I didn't prepare enough. Now, while I did have an emergency shelter, the next time I do this hike, I will bring full-on camping gear because I want the option to comfortably spend a night. And the reason I say that is because that knee pain that I had at the beginning of the hike, something that had been bothering me for the last several weeks, just kind of a minor, not too big of a thing, but more of an inconvenience. Well, that flared up significantly over the course of this 15.5-mile hike. And I don't know exactly how many miles I was doing it, but I was in such excruciating pain. I was letting out audible noises with almost every single step that I took for several miles, especially on the descent, because, you know, carrying my weight going downhill, for those of you that know, that's as big of a challenge as, you know, going uphill. And especially again, after that many miles, it was over 4,500 feet of elevation gain on the hike. Yeah, I was feeling it, and I knew I was going to feel it, but I didn't know I was going to feel it that much. So again, having the option to camp comfortably would have been a great idea. Gaiters, again, as I mentioned in the video, would have been a great idea. Some sort of hiking pant would have been a better idea than walking around with shorts, because my legs are, I got stabbed by agave, I got poked by, you know, prickly cactus, and all sorts of fun little desert adventures that you get on hiking. Ultimately, what am I trying to get at with this hike? I feel wonderful that I accomplished something that very few people accomplish. I don't know exactly how many people do the Superstition Ridgeline hike in a year. I would hazard to guess it's maybe a couple hundred people that do that hike every year. And I say that because there's maybe only 100 some days, maybe 200 days or whatever, where the weather's even going to cooperate and make it possible for you to do it safely. And most people in general don't feel like taking on a challenge that big because they know they would struggle to even finish it. And having done it, having fought through the mental hurdles, there was a good part of me that wanted to quit right when I got up to the Flatiron Summit. I've been kind of looking for excuses in my head, and like, you know, the detour at the beginning of the hike was going to make me later than my original start time. You've got having to leave the trail, come back to the trail to get gear, those things, and then getting up to Flatiron with the clouds just made me think maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But I took those as sort of the weakness within me trying to come out and stop me from doing what I had intended to do, what I planned on doing. And I know from a neurochemical standpoint that when you complete what you set out to do, you have far greater rewards than when you fail to accomplish what you set out to do. So hell or high water, I was going to make sure I did that hike. And anyway, I don't know. I'm rambling. I don't know if there's any real value to all this pontificating in this conclusion, but hiking is so much more than just a way to get out, get some steps, get a little bit of exercise. It's going to work your mind in a way that translates into other things. The ability to persist and endure through difficulty is something all of us can benefit from. And having now completed what's arguably the most difficult day hike in Arizona, I feel pretty damn good, pretty damn accomplished. So I hope you get out there, hope you get hiking. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you do. Peace.